Hello, my peepers. Welcome to a new episode of What's New in Shalene's Neck of the Woods. We are hoping to finish this page tonight. If not, it will be a very short video tomorrow. So we are still working on the Valentine's color lawn. It's the last page for the color on lawn because tomorrow is the last day of February. Which by the time you see this, it will probably already be the last day. Because it is like 9:20 p.m. I got a really late start. Because I came home and wanted to do the video. And stupid me had left my camera on all night and all day today, so the battery was completely dead, and that is not a good thing when you need to make videos. So I'm picking colors. Okay. I have still working with the Karen Dash Pablos. I have pink, scarlet, and carmine. And I need to get a sip of my tea. Tonight's tea is vanilla chai by the Stash Company. It is decaf. That's mostly all I have in the house is decaf. Because I like to drink a lot of tea at night. Although tonight I could use some decaf because we are getting started late. Okay, we are going to work on these four at the moment. Can we zoom in so you can see all four? Okay. I don't know if I need to zoom in more and just do these two for now. So these two here. Okay, so we're going in with pink very lightly. A light layer. So, like I said, I wanted to start this video as soon as I got home while I was wide awake. And I could not find my camera. And I'm like, where is my camera? When I'm done with it, it's either charging and it wasn't at the charge port, or it's in the camera case. I don't leave it out. And it's not in the camera case. Now, I knew it wasn't in here because I'd already been at this table and it wasn't in here. And then it dawned on me when I uploaded the videos from my camera onto my computer, I never unplugged it from the computer. So it had been left on. So I said, okay, well, Dylan was running a little late from work. Like an hour. He came home an hour later than normal. So I said, okay, while that's charging, I'm going to read the book I started today. And let's see. I need to test these two colors to see really which one's the darker one. Okay. Okay, we're going to go in with Carmine. So I said, I'll read my book and start dinner. And stupid me had not taken anything out of the freezer for dinner for tonight. I have pasta sauce in the cupboard, but I was out of pasta. So I said, okay, I'm taking, I had a freezer bag with 3 sausage links in it, Italian sausage. So I took them out and I defrosted those in the microwave. And had done that. Actually, I went too far down. That's okay. That's okay. This will work out okay. I just colored a little bit more than I wanted to, but that's okay. It thawed out good in the microwave without cooking it. So I got them in the frying pan on low and made mashed potatoes to go along with it. And since I was having mashed potatoes, I was not putting the sausage on a bun. Okay, let's go with Scarlet. Go about 1/4 of the way up. And while that was all cooking, I was sitting at the kitchen table reading my ebook because I could not put it down. I finished the bookshop on the corner that I had gotten from the library because Jen, Reading with Pugs, had talked about it and a couple other booktubers, and it sounded really good. So I will talk about that book on Friday Reads. I will tell you, I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved the book. I could not put it down. And then I believe it was Jen that also mentioned the book I started after that because I had my tablet with me. The boys were playing together a lot today and wrestling, and they had the puppy chasing them through the house, so I just sat there and read. They were being really good. They didn't want me playing with them. You know, and then when they did, they'd come over with a toy and I'd play with them. You know, I'd put my book down and I'd play with them. But they were being really good, which is unusual, but they were. Okay, I'm going back in with the Carmine. Just kind of blending this out. So I went to see what the latest NetGalley book was that I had gotten that I need to read, and that was Tips for Living. So I said, okay, I'll try that because I believe it was Jen that had mentioned it, and it sounded really good. So I sat down to start reading it, and reading, and reading, and reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then Dylan came home, and I thought, well, this will work out good. I can go home, make my videos, just extending this a little. And when I'm done with the videos, I'll finish reading because This Is Us is going to be on tonight. Well, when dinner was done, I was still letting my, we're going in with pink. My camera's still charging, and I said, that's okay, I'll read. Because I really, really, really want to finish this book. So, I had like an hour left in the book. It was like 7:30, going on 8, between 7:30 and 8, and I'm like, cool, I can get this done and then go feed the animals and make the video. Well, then I got to bring this all the way down. We're on pink, so we're just blending this all together. So then Catherine messages me, are you busy? And I said, no, I'm just reading. And she said, can you call me? And I said, give me a minute. Let me go use the bathroom first before I sit down. Because when her and I talk, it can be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours long. We talk. So, we talked for, and I believe it said 55 minutes we talked. So at that point, the animals are now hungry. Scott's getting ready for work. So I'm like, okay, I'll start the video around 9:30. So that's what I'm doing. And I know I'm going to want to finish that book before I go to bed. And tomorrow's Wednesday, I don't babysit. So I don't have a set time to go to bed. Okay, now we're going to go work on these two down here the same way. Yep, I wasn't even going to watch YouTube videos tonight because I was so engrossed in that book. Catherine said I need to zoom in just a little more when I'm coloring. So that's what I'm doing. So while I'm talking to Catherine, in comes Pearl, bothering me because it's that time of night. She's trying to eat my tablet, so I'm trying to push her away from that. She's got her butt up in my face because I'm on the phone. Like, really, Pearl? And so I made sure that they were nice and fed, and she's not in here bothering me because she has a full belly. That tea is so good. It's nice and hot. Warm me up. And then after this video, I need to do the Ivy and Inky Butterfly. Because don't forget, it's Tuesday and I'm doing that series too. What was that noise? One of the cats? Wasn't the dog. She's sleeping here next to me. It was a weird noise. Scarlet. So my tablet says I have 55 minutes left in this book. I need to finish it. So I will probably finish it when I start uploading tonight's videos. But I am so glad I got back into reading because I really, really missed my books. And I unsubbed from a lot of booktubers just because I wasn't reading. And a lot of them that I was watching mostly read YA. And I'm trying to get back into my adult books, my mysteries. I miss the In Death series by J.D. Robb. I am so far behind on that series. I miss that series so much. Let's go in with Carmine. And I miss my John Sanford books, the Prey books. I miss, what is all these noises I'm hearing? These cats must be doing something. I miss my Jack Reacher series. I miss my Alex Cross series and James Patterson's other books, the Women's Murders Club. So sometime I'm going to have to get them back into my reading schedule, but for now I really need to read what's on my shelves and what I've gotten from NetGalley, and try to read the newest books that have come out. Jen's mentioned a few of them, and if I couldn't get them from NetGalley, then I have been getting them from the library. I think I have 2 books on hold for the library, and then I have 3 books to go back to the library. That bookshop on the corner was due back today, so I had to click on renew when I went online. Okay, go back in with the Scarlet. Who else am I behind on? Danielle Steele. I do like Danielle Steele. I do like her older books better, but I do enjoy reading her. Oh my God, J.A. Jantz. I love her books. Catherine Coulter's FBI series. I'm a few books behind on that. Just, yeah. I also like Mary Higgins Clark. I was reading Laurel K. Hamilton's series, and I'm behind on that, so just a lot of books. Now, I was a huge reader since I was a little girl. My parents and my parents are big time readers. My sister does once in a while. But when I'm done with my books, I take my bag of books to my parents and we switch books. And then when we're done, then I take the bag of books to my 2 sister-in-laws and my niece, and I give it to them, and then they can do whatever they want when they're done with them. I don't want them back. Okay, so there's that 2 flowers. That tastes so good. Okay, we're going to do this flower down here like we did these 2 here with the orangish. So, let's see, what did I use? Well, I have these facing the wrong way, so these must have been what I used. I have Naples yellow. Let me sharpen that. So, yep, as a little girl, I was always reading. My parents had a reader's club. You used to get the hardcover children's book in the mail. I had a whole stack of them, and I kept them for my boys. And when the boys went to high school, I donated them to the library, and I'm very sorry I did that, because I would have liked to have kept them for my grandchildren, but at the time, I was trying to make room in the house, and I should have just kept them. But I do remember some of my favorite books as a kid. My number one favorite book when I was young was Heidi. I loved that book so much. I bet you I've read it 10 to 20 times as a kid. I also read Pollyanna a couple times, and I don't remember the authors. And I don't own them. That would be something for me to do, is to find them and have them, just to sit and read them on a snowy day or a rainy day. And I read Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn a few times. I do remember reading, okay, we're going in with Fast Orange. I do remember reading the Little House on the Prairie series. And I remember reading all the Wizard of Oz series. I remember reading all of Nancy Drew. And I think I read all of the Hardy Boys. And then when I was a teenager, we had a library a couple towns over that used to send their books in the mail free, and you could send them back for free. And I remember doing that for 2 summers. I grew up on Canisius Lake here in New York as a teenager. And I remember my mom and I think you got a catalog in the mail, because this is before internet. I remember getting a catalog in the mail, and it listed everything that you could get. And you filled out a form, and then they'd send them to you. And my mom and I would sit out by the lake and read all day and sunbathe. This is Vermilion. And then I met my mother-in-law, who was an avid reader. She read some mysteries. She read a lot of romance. She got like all the different Harlequin series in the mail. So she was constantly getting boxes of books in the mail. And she read the regular romance, you know, like with the bodice ripping people on the front of them, you know, and what's his name, Fabio. I wasn't into those, but I did like the Harlequin. I could read one in a couple hours. And then my mother-in-law showed me how she kept track of everything she ever read. So I went a step further and bought a Trapper Keeper, which I have a new Trapper Keeper because mine got really old. But I have you know, that like index tabs, alphabetical order, and then the authors are in there in alphabetical order by their last name. And then their page has their books. I have written in there every book that they've written in order of published dates. And then I highlight when I read them, and I put in there if I gave it 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, you know, 5 star, whatever. So that has every book I've ever read since meeting my mother-in-law over 30 years ago. But my father-in-law liked to read the newspaper, but I never seen him read a book, and Scott doesn't read. Scott's a workaholic. Okay, we're going back in with Fast Orange. You know, Scott's read a couple books, but it takes him forever. And he likes to read true story books. And there was a couple magazines we used to be able to find that had the true crimes in them, and he used to enjoy those. He does like to read his magazines. You know, he gets hunting magazines. He likes to read the Penny Saver and newspapers, but as far as books, no. So, like I said, I'm trying to get back into reading. So far, so good. Back in with Naples Yellow. And I watch Girly Girl Bookworm, and she shows a lot of books that I like, but like I said, I'm trying to get away from the young adult, so it has to be an author I've already read and really like. But a lot of books in my bookcase are young adult, because that's what I got into when I started watching BookTube. I was buying books like how I'm now getting pencils and coloring books. I was spending a lot of money on books, and mostly hardcovers, and when they first come out, you know, I'd buy them, and then I got into color, and then my reading slacked off, so just getting back into it. But every once in a while I check NetGalley, and I have too many, because I've been with NetGalley now for 2 or 3 years, and I still have some I never read from then. That tastes good. And I feel bad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, I don't remember what brown I used there. So I think we just used plain old brown, if I remember. There's a lot of authors I'm just drawing blanks on, because I don't have my list in front of me. I do like Stephen King. I love Dean Koontz. Okay, I think Should we go with some blue flowers? Let's go with some blue. Okay. Well, we have some pretty turquoise. I used those on the leaves though, didn't I? See, I don't know what to do here because I got blue leaves, so I don't really want to do blue flowers. You know what I mean? You can't see what I'm pointing at. These two here, I would like to do blue, but it would be too much with those blue. And well, I can always do a dark blue. That would be okay then, because those were like a turquoise. So I have bluish pale, blue jeans, and blue. How's that sound? That should look okay. It'll look okay with those leaves. Okay, so let's go with that. Gonna color those in lightly. So I do like my library. They work with about 30 libraries. And I can go into the main library system, type in a book, and it will tell me which library has it and if it's available as a Kindle, as an audio, or as a large print, hardcover, or paperback, and what library has it. And then you can pick which format you want. And if, like, my library might not have it, but one of the others will, and they have a van that travels twice a week and picks up the books from the different libraries and drops them off at the other libraries. And it's free. It's included in our county taxes. So, like I said, I put a book on hold today. I can't remember what book it was. And then Jen was talking about The Affair or the White something. I don't remember. By Alistair Brooke. Was it Burke? So I had put that on hold last week, so I'm waiting for that to come in. That might be in tomorrow. And then it depends on how many copies there are, what libraries have them, and if they're available, as people might be reading them. This is blue. I also can borrow magazines, and you can borrow movies. Movies you can only have, well, it depends on the library. Now my library I go to, you can have DVDs out for a week. The other one, the town over, you can only have them for 3 days. And I used to use that library all the time because I'm in that town all the time. but they are not friendly at that library. They act like you are an inconvenience ordering books through the main system. And twice they've made me angry. We had borrowed DVDs, returned them on the third day, went by the piece of paper I had, left the library, and I had to hand them in. You can't put them in the drop-off box. So they were handed to the people in the library. So the next week I went to go pick up more DVDs, and they said I couldn't because I didn't return the other ones. And I said, yes, I did. I came in. Oh, in fact, I didn't even go in. Dylan did. I sat in the car, watched him go into the library, and the librarian said, I don't think he came in with them. And I looked at her and I said, I was sitting in the car. I watched him go in the door. What would he have done with them if he didn't return them? And she just glared at me. So they were there. So I did end up getting more. And 2 weeks later, they did the same thing to me. Like, nope. And then when I went to get another book, they said that I had a book from a year ago. And I said, I do not have any library books at my house. And she said, well, you never returned whatever it was. I don't remember what the book was. And I said, I remember bringing it back to the library. And she says, well, you're getting charged for it. I walked over to the shelf in the library, picked it off the shelves, handed it to her, and said, is this book you're talking about? She glared at me and never apologized, and I never went back. Said, I'm done with this library. They are so rude. They don't, obviously if you hand them a book, I know they've set it on the shelf, and there's, because they don't always put it in the system that you brought it back in front of you, but no, I'm not putting up with that. So the library that I use all the time, they are as nice as can be. It's in my town. The boys grew up at that library. That was bluish pale. Now I'm going in with blue jeans. So one day the librarian, her name's Suzanne, she says, we have you down not returning a book. That's not like you. And I said, no, it's not. And it was one that Dylan had taken out. He was a young teenager. He might have been elementary, late elementary, early teenage. And Dylan was with me, and he said, I don't have a library book at home. And she said, well, that's really weird, because you guys always return books. So I said, well, let me go see if it's not on the shelf at the library. So I went over to the shelf, and I pulled it off the shelf. I said, Suzanne, it is sitting here. She apologized, and I said, well, it must not have gotten put in the system. But she did apologize. And she says, you guys always return books. We used to go every week, and we'd take home stacks of books in the summertime because I don't like the heat. Dylan doesn't like the heat. And we would sit in the air-conditioned rooms, and we'd read all day. This is just plain blue. And I signed them up for the summer reading programs that the libraries, both libraries, I signed them up. Both libraries are like 10 minutes away from my house, not even that, in different directions. So we would sign up. both libraries for their summer reading programs. They would read a book, and I was able to count it at both libraries. Okay, back in with blue jeans. And then the gaming systems and computers started coming out, and, you know, the boys got a little older and they got into the video games, and I told them, you're not sitting in the video games all day long. Whoops, I forgot that flower. I gotta go back in with blue. I said, you're not going to be sitting on video games and computer all day. You're going to read also. So for every hour that they wanted to play video games or be on the computer, they had to read an hour. But with Dylan, you had to tell him he had to read first, because Dylan would try to play a couple hours on games and computer and then be too tired to read. So, with him, I had to make the rule of, you read an hour, you get an hour of video time. If you read for 2 hours first, you can get 2 hours. Justin loved to read. I didn't ever have to do that with him, but because I did with Dylan, I did make it a rule with Justin, but I really didn't need to. And then the Harry Potter series came out, and Justin asked if he could read them, and I said yes, because Justin would tell me if it's not appropriate. And he had started reading, and he says, Mom, you are going to love this series. It is so good. And he was right. And then the librarian they had at that time, he told me of this book. Because Justin was going through books like crazy that one summer. So the librarian we had at that time, he said, Justin would really like this book. I think he should give it a shot. And I said, okay. So I gave it to Justin, and Justin read maybe 20 pages, and he handed it to me, and he said, Mom, there's like a rape scene in this book. And I'm like, what? The librarian recommended this. Justin said, I do not want to read it. And I said, that's fine. Okay, what do we have for time? 43 minutes. So we are going to go to these two flowers. And I think we're going to do those a different blue. Should we? Should we do them blue? I think so. Okay. Let's go in with sky blue. Oh boy, this one I don't know, because it's got this part here and then that. I know what I'm doing, says I, as I screw up the picture. So yeah, I was hooked on Harry Potter right from the very first couple pages. And the boys, Dylan wouldn't read them because they were too big, but he listened to them on audiobook, and he absolutely loved them on audiobook. And we would go to the Barnes & Noble on the nights that they had the Harry Potter parties when the new books came out at midnight. We'd have a blast. think we're going to finish this tonight, and we'll just have to do it in 2 parts just to get it done. There's that color. Now let's go with marine blue. And I try to read to Carson and Blake, but all Blake wants to do is rip the books out of my hand and try to rip the pages. And Carson has to be like in the mood. I always read to my boys when they were that small. Justin would let me read to him for hours. Dylan always liked the audiobooks because he could sit and play with his cars or build things with his blocks and listen to the audiobooks because Dylan couldn't sit still. And now Dylan is the one reading, but he prefers ebooks. He reads much faster in ebooks. And Justin, I can't get to read anymore. In fact, Justin wanted to be a writer, and he started writing. This is Night Blue. He started writing a vampire story right before the vampire movies and books started coming out. And he had me read some of it, and it was so good. This was in his late teenage years. And then his computer crashed and he lost it. And after the Twilight books came out in the movies, and then the True Blood and that, he said, I'm not going to do it. There's too many out there. I said, but they're all different. Everybody's interpretation of the vampires is different. Because he took creative writing in college, but he didn't do anything with it, unfortunately. But yeah, Dylan reads a lot now. Okay, going back in with marine blue. Let's see what's the time on this. I have 10 minutes left. Okay. But I like to read standalone books, and I love my series because I get attached to the characters. Okay, and going back in with sky blue. And we are going to do the rest of the flower with my fine liners. Just to give it, or maybe my gel pens. Let's finish it up with the gel pens. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to grab some gel pens. If you want to, you can too. Gel pens. And we're going to zoom out. And let's see here. Let's use some yellow. I have a sparkly yellow. I'm going to do in here. And in here. And in here. I like it with the yellow sparkly centers. So, yep, Friday reads, I will have at least 2 books that I finished this week. Okay, and those purple flowers. Let's go in with this purple. See what it looks like. Oops, I don't want to touch those. They're not quite dry. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and then start again.